5 minutes for the second intervention and should be made by delegations from their seats. I call on the representative of Mali.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam President. The delegation of Mali does not aim to exercise its right up to reply. Nonetheless, personal attacks, condescending attacks waged by the Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs compel us to intervene, to correct the untruths we heard. Out of respect for the decorum of this august assembly and the good that the United Nations embodies, my delegation will not lower itself to the level of the invective and basically indecent attacks proffered by the Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs. By doing this, Algeria deliberately decided not to mention at all the events which resulted in unprecedented tensions between our two countries. On our side, we would like to reiterate what Mali has said earlier. This is the statement delivered by UNGA, Prime Minister and Head of Government of the Republic of Mali on the 26th of September 2025. He recalled that current tensions between our two countries are rooted in, first and foremost, in the unacceptable interference of the Algerian regime in the internal affairs of Mali. The Malian people decided to take charge of its fate and take ownership of the peace process. There were then disputes regarding the destruction by the Algerian armed defense forces of surveillance and reconnaissance drones of the Malian armed and security forces in the night between the 31st of March and the 1st of April 2025. A few hours after the incident transpired, the Malian government learnt from the press of a communique issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Algeria claiming ownership for the destruction of a drone which purportedly violated Algerian airspace 2 kilometers. In order to conduct an in-depth investigation, the Malian authorities requested from the Algerian authorities to provide them the evidence underpinning their allegations. Over 72 hours later, no satisfactory follow-up was provided by the Algerian party. Following our own investigations and on the basis of scientific proof that was published on the 6th of April 2025 in a communique, the government of Mali drew a conclusion of which it is absolutely certain the drone of the Malian Armed and Security Forces was destroyed following a premeditated hostile act waged by the Algerian regime. This conclusion is underpinned by the following. First, the guilty silence of the regime in Algeria and its refusal to cooperate. Second, specific data about the trajectory of the aircraft recorded by our systems unambiguously proves that the drone never left the airspace of the Republic of Mali. What's more is liaison with the drone and location information, all of it is located on Malian national territory. As I'm sure you understand, these allegations of supposed violation of Algerian airspace are absolutely absurd in light of the above. After all, the debris of the drone was found within Malian territory, over 9 kilometers from the Algerian border. How could it have ended up there if it was within Algerian territory, 2 kilometers within? This violates the laws of physics. It's simply impossible. It's simply impossible for the drone to have ended up there. This is clearly an unprecedented attack, unprecedented in the relationship between our two countries. This hostile act, unfriendly and condescending, is further proof, if there was ever any need for it, of the fact that the Algerian regime is sponsoring international terrorism in Mali and the Sahel. Indeed, the destruction of the Malian drone clearly sought to undermine the neutralization of armed groups who have claimed that they've conducted terrorist acts. Faced with these attacks and a refusal to cooperate on the part of the Algerian regime, the government of the Republic of Mali decided to institute proceedings with the International Court of Justice. Regrettably, even though it's unsurprising, it's regrettable that the Algerian regime refused to recognize the jurisdiction of the ICJ. As a way of defending itself, the Algerian regime claims to respect this international jurisdiction. It's easy to see that this Malian drone that was shot down is a source of embarrassment for the junta in Algeria. Indeed, if the Algerian regime had any respect for the international system as it claims to have, it would have accepted to submit supposed proof it has in its at its disposal to the ICJ. The Algerian regime, through its actions, is rejecting international legality. This attests to the fact that it is clearly guilty before the world. The lack of transparency on the part of Algeria vis-à-vis the ICJ is grist to the mill of the Malian government. That is, the fact that the drone was destroyed. It's further proof of the fact that Algeria supports terrorist groups. The government of Mali deplores the fact that instead of responding to the facts we've established and documented, the Algerian regime has opted for defamatory invective to try and conceal its support for extremist groups, including the terrorist leaders that were targeted by the downed Malian drone. We denounce this flagrant violation committed by Algeria against my country in contravention of Mali's efforts to support the FLN and the support we provided to our neighbours, our brothers, our friends, the people of Algeria during their liberation struggle. Thus, the government of Mali As a consequence, the government of Mali reaffirms its call for the Algerian regime to put an end to this unacceptable interference in the domestic affairs of Mali, as well as its support to terrorist groups which are destabilizing the Sahel. The Algerian regime would be better served to focus its efforts on its own contradictions and the government's challenges, which are vast and from which it has been distracted. We call on the Algerian regime to change its approach and to improve its relations with neighbours working in good faith for stability, collective security and sustainable development in the region in full respect for the sovereignty of states. By way of conclusion, I'd like to reassure you that the Malian government will spare no effort in defending our national territory and ensuring that we protect our people and our property. I thank you.
I call on the representative of Morocco, followed by Algeria.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam President. Morocco would like to exercise its right to reply following the intervention by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Algeria this morning. Without any animosity nor wishing to create any polemic, I would like to provide some clarifications and also restore some truths on the following points. The Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs recalled that the issue of the Sahara was on the General Assembly's agenda for almost 62 years now. I'd like to say that history is stubborn. History will remember that it was Morocco that listed the issue of Sahara on the decolonization list. This didn't happen all of itself, but rather thanks to Morocco's claims, which has continued to reiterate its claims since 1956. The minister also stated that the Security Council adopted its first resolution on the issue of the Sahara 50 years ago. That's very well, but I would have liked us to, for the minister to also refer to the General Assembly resolution, since we are sitting in the General Assembly. Indeed, in this chamber, the General Assembly adopted its own resolution 3458B. This took note of the Madrid Agreement that brought an end to the Spanish colonization of our southern provinces. 3. The minister stated that MINURSO was created 34 years ago. Very well, that's true also. But the issue of the Moroccan Sahara doesn't stop at the creation of MINURSO, nor did it start with the creation of MINURSO. It cannot be reduced to the establishment of MINURSO either. The history of the Moroccan Sahara must be integrated into everything that has happened around and what happened after the establishment of MINURSO. That is the decision of the Security Council to put to one side all of the resolutions concerning the Sahara as they related to MINURSO by proclaiming the political solution for the settlement of this dispute. That was 21 years ago. And above all, the Security Council adopted, has done ever since 2007, adopted a resolution over the last 18 years that reiterates the preeminence of the Moroccan autonomy plan, which it believes is serious and credible. 4. I'd like to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs who talked about realities imposed on the Moroccan Sahara. The reality in Moroccan Sahara today is billions of investment, it is peace, it is stability, it is the longest bridge in Africa, a highway from the north to the south of the Sahara, it's universities in every city, hospitals, university hospitals, the deepest port in Africa, Atlantic port in Africa. It is freedoms, elections, a free culture, civic participation of the Sahara population in all political, cultural and economic activities of the region, and above all, the emancipation of young people who are just as active in the north and the south of Morocco in our political, cultural and economic life. These are the realities of the Sahara. And I just wanted to add, since we are in a diplomatic forum here, our reality is that we have 30 consulates in the Moroccan Sahara. That means that we also have some recognition. There is investment, billions of dollars of investment. And I'd just like to recall here that the United States have instructed their development agencies, their investment agencies, their companies to invest in Moroccan Sahara, because irrespective of the view that you might take on the status of Morocco, there is one right which is irreversible, that is the right to development. And the right to development means in Morocco that we invest in depth for prosperity, for development, and to ensure hospitals, schools, roads, security for our population. The right to development isn't just the responsibility of the state concerned, but also it is an international responsibility of our partners. Hence the decision of Europeans, Americans this week, and other partners, particularly large multinationals who are interested in the Saharan development for the benefit of our Saharan population. The fifth observation that I'd like to share following the intervention of His Excellency the Foreign Affairs Minister of Algeria. Algeria is currently sitting in the Security Council, but the Sahara is not currently being addressed as a matter solely of decolonization. The Security Council addresses this as a matter of peace and security, and above all, in the context of the peaceful settlement of disputes. I'd like to thank him for addressing this issue. Sixth remark that I'd like to share. His Excellency the Minister asked 5 questions, fundamental questions for the settlement of this dispute. That's all very well. But what question did he never asked? Algeria is saying that it is not a party setting conditions and fundamentals for the settlement of this dispute. On what grounds, if it's not a party to this? We welcome the fact that Algeria can now say, okay, these are the conditions for the settlement of this dispute. We hope that today's statement can be extended and reflected on the other side of this building in the Security Council so that we can fully engage in a political process and ensure that we have participation in the round table to relaunch a political process and to reach the settlement of this dispute, which has gone on all too long. 7th point. I'd like to say that I cannot conclude on a negative note here. I'd like to conclude in echoing the message of His Majesty the King that was stated on the 30th of July last, that was addressed towards our neighbour Algeria. His Majesty the King reiterated the international momentum and support of more than 120 countries that support the Moroccan autonomy plan, the dozens of countries that have recognized Moroccan Institute, and the members of the Security Council that have reiterated either the Moroccan autonomy plan as more than 2/3 of the EU members that are in favour of the initiative for the definitive settlement of this issue. His Majesty the King, when he referred to all of these outcomes, said, and I quote His Majesty the King, that this is a favourable position towards law and legitimacy, inspires us. It pushes us further towards a quest for a consensus-based solution that would save face for all parties, where there are not winners or losers. That's the end of the quote of His Majesty the King. Thank you very much.
I call on the representative of Algeria.
شكرا سيدة رئيس.
Thank you, Madam President. My delegation has asked for the floor to respond to the statements by 2 delegations in this hall as they exercise their right of reply. First, concerning Mali. We are surprised. This is our first comment. We are surprised. When the representative of Mali talks about decorum, he should rather teach decorum. The representative of Mali, he teach the representative of Mali decorum.
في كلمة الجزائر صباح اليوم.
The representative of the junta. Second, the representative of the Foreign Minister of Algeria. His statement was comprehensive. He refuted the claims, the provocations that we've listened to 2 days ago by the representative of the putschists in Mali. It was abundantly clear that the response of the foreign minister was addressed to the putschist junta in Mali. In addition, Algeria does not and will not succumb to desperate attempts to provoke us. Out of respect, out of appreciation to the neighborly, brotherly Malian people. We do not and will not succumb to such distortions led by a putschist junta, whose representative, who came here to speak on the behalf of this junta, came here to talk from this rostrum to settle his personal scores with my country. Second, regarding Western Sahara, in response to the distinguished representative of Morocco, I would like to clarify, first and foremost, the following. The intervention by Algeria, delivered by the Minister of Foreign Affairs this morning, abided strictly by the historic parameters agreed by all at the United Nations, the legal and historical parameters, especially the decolonization agenda of the United Nations when it comes to Western Sahara. However, since the distinguished Moroccan delegation chose to exercise the right of reply to the Algerian intervention, it is an opportunity for us to present some points, or to respond to some points that the distinguished representative of Morocco has addressed. He referred to the Western Sahara issue being a decolonization issue at the United Nations. I have to recall some legal and historical parameters when it comes specifically to this matter. We cannot accept such claim. We cannot accept such claim. There is no such thing as regarding the Western Sahara as a non-self-governing territory. However, because adding a region to the list on the decolonization agenda goes back to the countries that are responsible for this particular region, according to Resolution 1514. This resolution is adopted by the GA based on information provided by the administering powers. The administering power has the right to ask, can provide information according to Article 11 of the Charter, especially Article 37E. I recall and remind you of the decolonization agenda of the United Nations. In 1946, the first list was presented when 8 countries provided a list of 72 territories that are concerned with decolonization. And in 1963, the General Assembly approved revised list of 60 region as non-self-governing territories. That includes the Western Sahara. I have the documents, I have the lists, I have the numbers of those documents, but I don't want to talk for too long. When it comes to Western Sahara, this issue was not part of Resolution 66 of 1946 for a simple reason, because Spain was not yet a member of the United Nations until 1955. It was the administrating power. In 1955, and Morocco was then still under the protectorate, the Secretary General of the United Nations corresponded with Spain and asked Spain whether it manages a non-self-governing territory. So in 1958, Spain claims that it does not have any non-self-governing territories. And the territories that it administers are Spanish territories. Spain did not provide any information on this territory under Article 73 until 1960, where there was a draft resolution in the Fourth Committee to consider the issue of Western Sahara. And I have the statement by the administering power, the statement delivered back then. Before the establishment of C24, the information provided by the administering power on Western Sahara, this information has already been sent to the Information Committee, which was a predecessor of the C24, and that was in 1961. When the Committee of Information was dismantled and the C24 took its place, the issue of Western Sahara was added to the list of non-self-governing territories that fall under Resolution 1514, the resolution on decolonization. This all to show that the issue of Western Sahara is registered under the decolonization agenda of the United Nations. And this leads me to another issue addressed by the distinguished Moroccan delegate, the issue of addressing Western Sahara at the Security Council. As a matter of international peace and security, in all Security Council resolutions, it is stated that the Fourth Committee, the C24, and the General Assembly shall continue to consider the Western Sahara issue as a decolonization issue. All Security Council resolutions stress this matter. A final point, since the Moroccan delegation has referred to how Algeria considers the Western Sahara issue and why we even consider this issue. We are a responsible member of the United Nations. Algeria addresses all just causes. Second, Algeria is a neighboring country, and it is concerned with what transpires in neighboring countries. It is our duty as a responsible member in the United Nations. We must respond. We must explain what needs to be explained regarding this issue and in other issues. If there is insistence to drag Algeria as a party to this issue, Algeria says the following. I repeat what the foreign minister has said this morning. Algeria says negotiate with the party concerned. There's a need for direct, unconditional negotiations in good faith between the Polisario Front, the party concerned, and the Kingdom of Morocco, the other party concerned, to settle this issue. I thank you.
I now call on the representative of Mali for a second intervention. May I remind you of time to be 5 minutes.
Merci.
Thank you, Madam President. I won't take up too much of our time. I just decided to request the floor to say the following. I listened very carefully to the response of the representative of Algeria. I was expecting to hear answers regarding the root of the tensions between Mali and Algeria. But we heard the same ad hominem attacks, the same invective we heard earlier. The root, the crux of the problem, is the unacceptable interference of Algeria in the internal affairs of Mali. That's the first thing. And second, it is the destruction of the drone of the Malian armed and security forces by the Algerian regime. So I do have two requests for my Algerian counterpart. The first being for him to please tell his authorities to consent to our application instituting proceedings with the ICJ, and also to provide any evidence which was not provided to the Assembly. And my second request is an invitation for the Algerian authorities to stop their hostile acts against Mali and to opt for a constructive approach in keeping with the traditions of good neighborly relations between our two brotherly nations. I thank you very much, Madam President.
May I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to conclude its consideration of agenda item 8? It is so decided. I would like to thank all of you, all delegations again, for this year's high-level week. I wish you a good day. The meeting is adjourned.